You hired them, you paid them, you trusted them with your company's most sensitive information. They passed every interview. Their resume looked perfect. Their references checked out. Their face appeared on camera. Everything seemed real. Until one day, the truth came out. The name was fake. The identity was fake. The documents were fake. Even the face on the video call may have been generated by AI, and the salary being sent overseas wasn't going where anyone expected. Behind hundreds of remote jobs was a hidden network operating across borders, a network that quietly infiltrated major companies without ever setting foot inside the office. This isn't a movie. This is one of the strangest employment scams ever uncovered. And the most terrifying part? It's still happening right now. As you watch this video, somewhere in the world, a company may be interviewing its next employee. The resume looks perfect. The answers sound convincing. The face on the screen looks real. But behind that camera, there may be nobody there at all. Just a stolen identity, a synthetic face, and a carefully constructed lie, which raises a terrifying question. How do you know the person on the screen is real? Now, let's uncover the truth. Imagine you're hiring a remote software developer. Your company needs talent, so you post a job opening online. Within days, hundreds of applications arrive. Most are average. Some are terrible, but one immediately stands out. The resume is flawless. Years of experience, top-tier technical skills, impressive projects, excellent references. Everything looks perfect, so you schedule an interview. The candidate joins the video call. Professional, confident, highly intelligent. Every answer is precise. Every technical challenge is solved effortlessly. The interview panel is impressed. This seems like exactly the person you've been searching for. So you make an offer, and they accept. Over the following weeks, their performance is exceptional. Tasks are completed on time. Deadlines are never missed. The code is clean. The communication is professional. Managers are happy. Co-workers are impressed. No complaints, no warning signs, no reason to be suspicious. Just a perfect employee. Until one ordinary morning, everything changes because federal investigators have been tracking something unusual, something hidden inside America's remote workforce. And eventually, their investigation leads straight to your company. Then one day, there's a knock on the door. The FBI, they sit you down and tell you something almost impossible to believe. The employee you've been paying for months, the person attending meetings, the person writing code, the person who appeared on your screen doesn't exist. The identity was stolen. The documents were forged, and the face you trusted may never have belonged to a real employee at all. The question is, if this employee wasn't real, then who exactly was working for you? To understand how this happened, you first need to understand who was behind it. North Korea, one of the most isolated countries on Earth, a nation cut off from much of the global economy. For decades, international sanctions have limited its access to foreign money. But while much of the world focused on missiles, military parades, and nuclear tests, another operation was quietly growing in the shadows, an operation few people knew existed, because North Korea possessed something extremely valuable. Not oil, not gold, not natural resources, talent. Thousands of highly skilled software engineers, programmers, developers, IT specialists, trained for years, disciplined, technically capable, and connected to a system that demanded one thing above all else: revenue, foreign currency, money flowing into the country from overseas. According to investigators, some of these workers began targeting the global remote job market. Their strategy was simple: create a new identity, build a convincing resume, apply for remote jobs, get hired, collect a salary, repeat again. The rise of remote work created the perfect opportunity. Companies were hiring people they had never met. Managers were interviewing candidates through webcams. Documents were exchanged digitally. Everything happened online, and that made deception easier than ever before. Investigators say some workers used stolen identities. Others allegedly operated through networks of intermediaries. Some even appeared in video interviews, using sophisticated techniques designed to hide their true identity. To employers, they looked like ordinary applicants, just another developer searching for a job. Nothing suspicious, nothing unusual. But behind the screen, the reality was very different. And for years, most companies never noticed, because by the time the world began paying attention, the operation had already expanded across multiple countries and into hundreds of companies. The hidden army was already inside. The operation began with a single requirement: an identity, not their own, someone else's. According to investigators, some operatives allegedly obtained stolen personal information belonging to real people: American names, American addresses, employment records, digital footprints, real information taken from real lives. People who often had no idea their identities were being used thousands of miles away. But a stolen identity alone wasn't enough to get hired. They needed to become a completely different person. So they started building digital lives from scratch. Professional LinkedIn profiles, years of fabricated work experience, convincing portfolios, technical certifications, references that appeared legitimate, GitHub accounts filled with coding projects, every detail carefully designed to survive scrutiny. To recruiters, everything looked authentic because every piece of the puzzle had been engineered to look exactly like a real candidate. Then came the final piece, the face. In many cases, modern technology made it possible to create profile pictures that looked completely real: smiling professionals, confident developers, friendly employees, people who seemed ordinary. The only problem, some of them never actually existed. No childhood, no family, no history, just pixels generated in seconds, yet convincing enough to fool recruiters, HR departments, and hiring managers. With their new identities complete, the applications began. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. Remote software jobs, ET positions, engineering roles, anything that could be performed from behind a screen, because remote work offered the perfect cover. No office visits, no face-to-face meetings, no coworker sitting nearby, no one looking over their shoulder, only a webcam, a resume, and trust. And trust turned out to be the easiest thing to exploit, because when nobody ever meets you, becoming someone else is surprisingly easy. And for years, many companies never realized they weren't hiring an employee, they were hiring a ghost. But there was still one major problem. Even the most convincing fake identity could eventually fall apart, because American companies didn't just hire employees, they sent them equipment, work laptops, security tokens, company devices, and shipping a corporate laptop directly to North Korea would immediately trigger alarm bells. The operation needed another solution, something simple, something effective, and that's exactly what they found. Investigators say individuals inside the United States were recruited to help. Some were allegedly motivated by money. Others may not have fully understood what they were participating in. Their job was surprisingly simple: receive company laptops, turn them on, connect them to the internet, and keep them running. That's it. Over time, some locations became known as laptop farms, ordinary apartments, suburban homes, small office spaces, places that looked completely normal from the outside. But inside, dozens of company laptops sat side by side, connected to power, connected to the internet, waiting for instructions. Each machine belonged to a different employee, or at least what appeared to be a different employee, because behind every laptop was a carefully constructed identity, and behind many of those identities was someone operating thousands of miles away, sometimes from China, sometimes from Russia, sometimes through multiple countries, designed to hide their true location using remote access tools. They could control computers inside the United States without ever entering the country. To the employer, everything looked normal. The device appeared to be located in America. The login activity appeared normal. The employee attended meetings, submitted assignments, responded to emails. Nothing seemed out of place. No suspicious foreign IP addresses, no obvious warning signs, no reason to panic, because every digital footprint suggested the employee was exactly where they claimed to be, inside the United States, working from home, just like millions of other employees. But reality was very different. The person controlling the computer might be sitting on the other side of the world, hidden behind layers of technology, hidden behind stolen identities, hidden behind a screen, and nobody was looking. Month after month, the salaries continued to arrive, millions of dollars, moving quietly through a system that most companies didn't even know existed. The deception was working, and it was working on a massive scale. For years, the operation remained hidden. Fake employees kept getting hired, money kept moving, and most companies never suspected a thing. Then investigators uncovered a case that would reveal just how this system worked. It centered around an ordinary woman living in Arizona. Her name was Christina Marie Chapman. She wasn't a programmer. She wasn't a spy. She wasn't a cybersecurity expert. At first glance, she seemed completely ordinary. According to court documents, everything began with a message, a simple online opportunity, an offer to earn money. No complicated skills required, no advanced training, just help remote workers find employment opportunities inside the United States. For someone facing financial difficulties, it sounded harmless, maybe even helpful, so she agreed. But investigators later alleged that the workers she was assisting were not ordinary job seekers. Behind the applications, behind the resumes, behind the online interviews was a much larger operation, and Chapman allegedly became one of the key people helping it function. Packages arrived at her address. Company laptops, corporate equipment, devices belonging to workers employed by American businesses. She allegedly received them, configured them, connected them, and helped maintain access for individuals located overseas. What looked like a normal home was gradually transformed into something else, a hub, a relay point, part of a hidden network stretching across continents. From the perspective of the companies involved, everything appeared legitimate. The laptops were located inside the United States. The employee records appeared valid. The workers seemed real. But investigators claim the reality was very different. As authorities dug deeper, they discovered the scale of the operation. Not one company, not 10 companies, hundreds. Businesses across industries, technology firms, major corporations, organizations that believed they were hiring talented remote employees. Instead, many had unknowingly become part of a sophisticated deception. Eventually, the investigation reached a breaking point. Arrests followed, charges were filed, and the hidden network began to unravel. The woman from Arizona, who once appeared to be a minor participant, had suddenly become one of the most recognizable faces of an international scheme. But even after the arrests, one disturbing question remained. How many fake employees were still out there? And how many companies still hadn't realized they had hired one? By now, investigators were beginning to understand the true scale of the operation, and what they found was deeply alarming. This wasn't a handful of fake employees. This wasn't a small scam. According to investigators, hundreds of companies had already been targeted. Major corporations, technology firms, financial companies, startups, businesses that believed they were hiring skilled remote professionals. But some of those employees weren't who they claimed to be. And the deeper authorities looked, the worse the situation became. Because this operation was never just about salaries. Money was only the beginning. The real value was access to internal systems, access to company networks, access to sensitive information. The moment an employee is hired, they become trusted. They receive credentials, permissions, internal communications, sometimes access to source code, sometimes access to customer data, sometimes access to projects that were never meant to leave the building. And investigators say some fraudulent workers use that access for far more than employment. Company files disappeared. Internal data was copied. Proprietary information was transferred. In some cases, valuable source code was allegedly taken. The very thing companies spend years building, the very thing that gives them their competitive advantage. And when employers began asking questions, the situation became even more disturbing. Some companies reported receiving threats if access was revoked, if contracts were terminated. Sensitive information could allegedly be leaked. The fake employee suddenly became a potential insider threat, a person who never should have been inside the company at all. Yet somehow they were already there, and the financial damage was only growing. In one investigation, authorities alleged that workers connected to these schemes gained access to digital assets worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. For victims, the losses were devastating. Money gone, data compromised, trust destroyed. Eventually, federal authorities launched a coordinated response. Search warrants were executed, equipment was seized, accounts were frozen. Investigators recovered dozens of company laptops from locations across the United States, devices that told the story of an operation hidden in plain sight, a network built on deception, powered by stolen identities and spread across borders. But even as arrests were made, a frightening reality remained. The operation wasn't over, because for every network that was uncovered, investigators feared another one might already be forming. And somewhere, right now, another company could be reviewing another perfect resume, another flawless candidate, another employee who doesn't really exist. Just when investigators thought they understood the threat, it evolved. The fake resumes became better. The stolen identities became harder to detect. And then, artificial intelligence changed everything. For years, companies relied on one simple test: the video interview, a final opportunity to verify the person behind the application. A face, a voice, a conversation. Proof that a real human being was sitting on the other side of the screen. Or at least, that's what they believed, because modern AI had introduced a terrifying new possibility. What if the face wasn't real? Imagine you're interviewing a job candidate. You ask technical questions. They answer immediately. You ask about experience. The response is convincing. The facial expressions look natural. The eye contact feels genuine. Everything appears normal, but unknown to you. The face you're looking at may be entirely synthetic, generated by artificial intelligence, modified in real time, designed to resemble someone who doesn't exist. A digital mask, worn through a webcam, and becoming more convincing every single year. The technology itself isn't science fiction. We've already seen criminals use deepfake video and voice tools to impersonate executives, employees, and trusted individuals. In some cases, millions of dollars have been lost because victims believed they were speaking to a real person. Now imagine that same technology being used during a job interview, not to steal money, but to gain access to a company, access to its systems, access to its secrets. Suddenly, verifying someone's identity becomes far more difficult because you're no longer asking, is this candidate qualified? You're asking something much more fundamental. Is this person even real? And the danger isn't limited to small businesses. Even organizations dedicated to cybersecurity have reported encounters with sophisticated fake applicants. Companies whose entire purpose is detecting threats. Companies staffed by experts. Companies that understand deception. Yet even they have come dangerously close to being fooled, which raises an uncomfortable question. If security professionals can be deceived, what chance does everyone else have? Because in the age of AI, seeing is no longer believing, and the screen in front of you may be the perfect disguise. At the center of this story is one simple question: where was the money going? Every paycheck, every contract, every successful hire, every fake employee. Follow the trail long enough, and investigators say it leads to the same destination: North Korea. For decades, North Korea has faced some of the strictest sanctions in the world. Restrictions on trade, restrictions on banking, restrictions on access to international financial markets. Generating foreign currency has become increasingly difficult. But according to U.S. authorities, the remote worker scheme offered an alternative source of revenue, a way to earn money from companies around the world without crossing borders, without opening factories, without exporting products, just laptops, internet connections, and stolen identities. Prosecutors allege that networks of overseas IT workers generated substantial revenue for organizations connected to the North Korean state. Revenue measured not in thousands, but potentially in hundreds of millions of dollars, year after year, quietly, almost invisibly. To most employers, it looked like an ordinary salary, a routine payroll transfer, another employee receiving compensation for completed work. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious, but investigators argue that behind those transactions, a much larger system was benefiting, one linked to the regime's efforts to obtain foreign currency despite international sanctions. And that's what makes this story so disturbing. because the companies involved weren't intentionally funding a foreign operation. Most believed they were simply hiring talented workers, paying competitive salaries, building successful teams. Yet according to investigators, some of those payments may have ended up supporting something far bigger than anyone imagined. A hidden financial pipeline, operating in plain sight, one resume at a time, one interview at a time, one fake employee at a time. And while authorities have disrupted parts of the network, the underlying problem remains. Because as long as companies hire people they never meet and trust identities they cannot fully verify, someone somewhere will try to exploit that trust. This was Murk Vault, where the darkest truths are finally uncovered. Before you leave, one like, one comment, that's all the support we need to keep uncovering stories hidden beneath the surface. Hundreds of companies infiltrated, millions of dollars moved, fake identities, deep fake faces, and a global operation that most people never knew existed. And the most disturbing part? It's still happening right now as you watch this video. Because in a world of AI, seeing is no longer believing, and trusting the wrong person could cost millions. If you enjoyed this investigation, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And now, we have a question for you. What story should Murk Vault uncover next? The billion-dollar AI blackmail industry, the scam compounds hidden across Southeast Asia, the rise of fake influencers who don't even exist, or something even darker? Leave your answer in the comments below, because the next investigation might come directly from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, some of the biggest secrets are hiding in plain sight. Murk Vault.